Hello everyone, this is a short video demonstration on how to create a tonal scale. So the first thing you need to do is print off your picture, or if you can't print it off, just have it on your computer screen and just follow the video step by step and you should be able to create yourself a nice tonal scale. So the first thing I want you to do is rule yourself a 10 centimeter long by 1 centimeter or maybe even 2 centimeter high rectangle. Make sure that you use a ruler so that you get it nice and neat. And then if you have with you a 2B pencil, you can use that one, or if you have a 4B or 6B, you might end up needing that for this lesson as well. So if you've got those, make sure you go and grab them before you start. I'm going to use a 2B pencil today for the sake of everybody that doesn't have all of those different types of pencils at home. So if you do have a 4B and a 6B, the higher the number, the darker the pencil is going to be. So what I'm doing now is just quickly splitting my rectangle into 10 sections, and we are going to use each of those sections to copy this tonal scale. So if you want to do it exactly the same size as whatever it prints out at, that's fine. Otherwise, just 10 centimeters long is fine. So when you are filling in your different sections, you need to work in a bit of a circular motion. That is going to give you the neatest possible finish. Some people like to work like this. If you really want to, you can do that, but I find as you get to the lighter sections, doing this is probably not as neat. So you might do that as you go around your edges, but then if you can go over everything with little tiny circles, you have much more control and a much more smooth, even finish. So you're trying to create the darkest possible section on that end one to match this. And then the idea is that we want to step down each time. So one of the biggest mistakes people make is that they go too dark too quickly. So if we start by sort of doing a bit of a lighter layer, we can always add more on top of it. We can always build up. So we don't want to go too dark too quickly. We want to make sure we go nice and slow, building those tones up gradually. Once you've completed all of your little rectangles, if you decide to, you might want to have another go where you actually blend all of the tones together and you get it to move gradually from one tone to another, like a bit of a gradient. But all I need you to do, the only thing I'm assessing you on, is your ability to recognize the difference between that tone and to see how well you can create a gradual change in tones. So the reason we're doing this is because when you end up drawing your Lego person, or any drawing that you do, you need to be able to look at a reference image or a photo, and you need to be able to see what tones are in that picture and then recreate them in your drawing. So instead of just looking at an image as outlines, you need to start looking at pictures as different tones, so different amounts of light and dark. So doing this helps us to train our eyes to recognize darker areas, lighter areas, and all those different tones in between. So I've seen now that that's a little bit too light, and I'm going to go over it again just to make it a little bit darker, making sure that it is not as dark as the one to the right of it. And once I get all the way to the end, this one should be left pure white. There shouldn't be any color whatsoever in this one. So if I sort of get to here and it's too light, then I might need to go back over it, maybe even with a black pencil if I don't have a 4B or a 6B, and start darkening up these tones. So I'm going to keep going. I'm going to speed it up a little bit so you guys can see what's happening. And yeah, all the best. Thank you. Okay, so we're nearly finished. Hopefully you can see that as I'm working, I keep going back over sections that I've already done. The reason for that is because I don't want to go too dark too quickly. So I'm constantly comparing each section to the ones either side of it, and I'm slowly adding more tone where I need to. So I'm only adding if I absolutely need to. That's another reason why we start with the dark side, because we don't want to go too dark too quickly. If we started from this side and we went too dark all of a sudden, it's very hard to then get darker. So it's easier if we start really dark and then try and go lighter, because that way if our square is accidentally too light, if we've gone too light too quickly, then all we have to do is add to it. We don't have to worry about erasing. So if you're building your tones up nice and slowly, you shouldn't really need to work back with your eraser too much. Maybe only to try and just lighten any accidental dark areas. But you should be layering up your tones. So one layer at a time, slowly building them up. So this one's nearly finished. You'll learn pretty quickly that it is not as easy as it looks to create lots of different tones with pencil. So please take your time, don't rush. Use little circles where possible. If you get too impatient and you want to do more of a side to side like that sort of motion, that's okay, but just do your best to keep it nice and neat. Notice how I'm using my pencil on a bit of an angle. I'm not holding it straight up and down and doing pointy, obvious marks. I'm doing soft, gentle marks, because those ones blend together much nicer. So thank you very much for watching. All the best with your drawings, and don't forget to keep them somewhere safe so that when you come back to school, you've got them somewhere nice and neat, and then we can put them all in your visual diaries.